Hello everyone, my name is Paul Carter from Carter & Son Toolworks, and today we're going to be discussing bowl gouges. We're going to look over how to regrind your bowl gouge, some tips and tricks on regrinding, and some common problems you might run into while you're at the grinder working on your bowl gouge. So let's get started. The three common types of bowl gouges that you will see on the market today usually have a parabolic flute, a V-shaped flute, or a U-shaped flute. The parabolic flute is most often paired with a very swept-back grind and can be used for sheer scraping, as well as a wide variety of bowl turning. The V-shaped flute is most often paired with a traditional fingernail grind and is great for beginners because it's easy to regrind, as well as it can take some heavier cuts and a wide variety of different cuts while turning your bowl. The U-shaped flute on the U-shaped bowl gouge is usually paired with a straight across or more of a traditional grind and is great on the bottom third of a bowl as well as end grain. Let's quickly go over the different tools and equipment that we need to start grinding our bowl gouge. So over here we have a slow running grinder with some CBN wheels. This one is the Tradesman from Toyson. I really like it a lot because it has some variable speed options that are great for when you're removing a lot of material or reworking or reshaping your grind. On the left here we have a 60 grit wheel, and on the right we have a 180. As far as fixturing goes, what I use is the one-way Wolverine system, and that comes with the Vari-Grind jig and the arm. A couple small things for setting your V-arm on the grinder is a protractor, as well as a Sharpie. And for ease of use, if you'd like, you can pick up these Raptor sets, and these are great for all different types of angles. I've got 50 degree, 60 degree, but these are not necessary. If you'd like, you can just use a Sharpie and the protractors. Last but not least, make sure to always have your safety glasses while you're grinding, and good lighting is key. I have these two lights shining from both sides. Let's begin by resharpening this bowl gouge. This one right here has a fingernail grind, and that's what I'm going to be demonstrating today, but all the tips and tricks that you learn from this video can be used on whichever bowl gouge you have in your shop. Let's quickly discuss about the wheel that I'm going to be using while regrinding this bowl gouge. And when I say regrinding, I mean simply just following the profile and bringing that dull edge back to life. I like to only use the finer grit wheel that I have on the grinder, simply because I'm not looking to remove any stock or change the profile that I have. Alright, so let's begin here. I have set my tool in the one-way fixture, 2 inches here, and I'm going to set my arm here with the Raptor jig at 50 degrees, and feel free to use the Sharpie method or the trial and error method with the protractor. But after that, and after everything is nice and tight, make sure your safety glasses are on, and let's begin grinding.
When regrinding, I focus on following the existing profile. It's important to apply consistent pressure in each section of the tool to ensure that you don't overgrind and therefore change the profile of the bowl gouge. I find it easiest to introduce the tool to the wheel on one of the wings, either the left or the right, and this helps ensure you don't overgrind the nose of the tool. You don't need to apply pressure or push the tool into the wheel when you're resharpening. Just let the weight of the tool do the work, and gently rotate back and forth. After a few rotations, lift the tool off the wheel and inspect your grind, checking each wing, the front, and the bottom. Check for profile inconsistencies such as a off-centered nose or a concave wing.
Next, let's discuss some common problems while you're grinding. First, we're going to be working on fixing the concave profile that we have here. This can be dangerous because the nose is very extreme when you have this problem, and it can cause a lot of catches while you're turning. So this is pretty easy to fix. All we need to do is remove some of the material here at the nose, and obviously this is sort of an extreme example, so we're not going to be removing that much material, or it's not going to feel like that much material while you're grinding. But once we remove this front here, we're going to then have more of a convex wing that we can work with, and then we can bring the wing back or blend it if we need to.
If your tool has a concave wing, you're most likely over-sharpening the middle section of the wing. To correct this, it's quite simple. All you need to do is grind down on the nose of your tool and reform the wings. To reform the wings, focus mostly on the back portion of the wing itself, because if you grind too much of the middle section, you'll run into the same problem and you'll find yourself with a concave wing.
All right. That is the tool right there, as you can see. So not too bad. Really all we had to do was focus a lot more on that nose while we were grinding, and stay away from the wing, and of course stay away from the middle of the wing, because that's where our problem was. And we're able to bring that convex profile right back, and our tool is ready for the finish wheel. Another common problem that can occur while turning can be chipping. So depending on where the chip is located on the grind, you're sort of going to have to attack it in different ways. So if it's at the nose here, simply just remove that material there. Obviously you want to stay pretty consistent with the profile of your nose. And then you would just have to, however much you took in the front here, you're going to have to add with the wing in the back. But if you've got one that's sort of in the middle on the wing, you have a couple different options. You could either remove that by flattening the wing, so like something like this, and get more of a flat profile there. or you would have to remove quite a bit of material. If that's deep, then if that chip there is pretty deep in your profile, then you'd have to remove that material and sort of start fresh. So there, and then you have to bring the wings quite a bit back. For this one, we are going to need to be removing that chipped edge there. And while we do that, we need to keep in mind that we're removing quite a bit of material from the nose. And that is where we set up with one of our fixtures. So as we remove material here, if it is quite a bit of material, then make sure that in the middle of or at the end, once you have your profile, to loosen up your fixture and retouch off or reset the 2 inches that you have here, and then go back and go over the grind that you have. And we do that because if this 2 inches is different, because we're removing quite a bit of material, then our angle for our profile is going to change. So we need to make sure that that's consistent at 2 inches. So that's just something to watch out for when you're fixing some of these bigger problems that's forcing you to remove quite a bit of stock.
Chipping can occur while you're turning, and the regrinding process can vary depending on how deep the chip is and where it's located. In this case, the chip is on the corner of the nose, so I need to remove the nose and bring the wings back accordingly. Something to remember is that even if the chip is on one side of the tool, you need to maintain a symmetrical grind. So what you do on one side of the tool must be done on the other to maintain that consistency. In my case, the chip is on the right side, but I need to remove just as much material on the left.
One thing that I always do that helps me a lot to see the profile that I'm aiming for is I like to put the bowl gouge up to maybe a white wall or a light, and I look at it directly forward like this and then to the side, and I try to look at it straight on as much as possible, so on both sides, and then to see if the nose is centered and it's not like leaning one direction, I look at it like this as well. So those 4 kind of perspectives really help me get a detailed view of the profile on the bowl gouge. Next, let's talk about if you have a valley in the nose of your tool profile. So instead of there being a concave profile on the entirety of your tool, it's just focused on the very front there. And I find this kind of happens on the corners of your nose on the left and the right. So this can cause catches. So this is pretty easy to fix. All you need to do is just take off some material right here. And you can actually leave it just like that if you're happy with this shorter sort of grind here. But if you want to keep the overall length that you have, or that you previously had, you'd have to bring the wings back like that. As you can see here, we have the tool that has that valley in the nose section there, or that beak sort of profile, and it's on both sides, as you can see here. And one thing to note while we're working on this tool is the wing section here is pretty much perfect. We don't need to touch that too much. So make sure to stay away from grinding too much in this area, and we're really just going to be focusing on that nose right there.
As you can see, I am only rotating back and forth on the nose. This is where our problem is, and we're going to have to remove quite a bit of material before even touching the other sections of the grind. As I mentioned, about halfway through the grinding, I like to reset my tool's length in the vary grind jig, and this ensures that I maintain a consistent 50-degree angle as I remove stock. As we get closer to removing the valley in the nose, I start to rotate the tool more and blend it into the wings. As I blend the wings, I'm using very, very light pressure. Since the profile of that section, the wings, the right and the left, isn't really the issue, so I'm making sure not to overgrind that section.
The last one we're going to talk about here is inconsistency between your two wings on your bowl gouge. So here we have the left wing in the black and the right wing in the blue, and you can see that the right wing here is a lot more of a flat profile compared to the left wing. And I wouldn't say that either of these profiles are wrong, but it's a good idea while you're grinding and while you're turning to make sure that you have a consistent profile between your two wings on your bowl gouge. And how we're going to fix that is simply by deciding if we're happy with how the right wing looks here. It's a little flat, but it's not too bad. Then we can simply just focus and only grind on the left wing here to bring it down, because we've got to bring it down here and remove that material and grind away to make it more flat. Or if we want a profile that's closer to the left wing here, then we're going to have to cut away and remove some of the nose so we can get some more stock, and then match the profiles like that. So right here you can see that there is an inconsistency in our length here for the wing, and although both of the profiles here, the one on the left and the one on the right, are inherently correct, we want to make sure that these two are consistent to each other. So that's what we're going to do now. All we need to do is just bring this wing back and lower the overall length, or the overall height, sorry, of this right wing, and that's going to allow us to match it with the profile that we have here on the left.
As I start grinding here, I'm going to introduce the tool to the wheel on the right wing, since that's where I need to remove all of my stock. I'm going to keep the tool moving, but only on the right wing for now, till I match the left wing's profile. Once I'm happy with the profile on the right wing, I can then lightly blend the nose and the left wing. I should only need to make a couple passes on the nose and the left wing, since that's not really where our problem is.
Pretty quick fix for this one. All we had to do was bring this right wing back and lower the height a little bit so that it is the same wing length and wing height as the left side here. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope this was helpful and you learned some tips and tricks that you can apply in your own grinding routine. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comments down below, and check out our website, carterandsontoolworks.com, for more helpful guides and pamphlets just like this one, all about grinding. From all of us at Carter & Son Toolworks, thank you very much and happy turning.